So last time that you were here in our studio, we had fascinating discussion and we delved into a lot of things, which we will again today. However, what I was thinking to myself is we all kind of think in the same general belief system. So everything we say is kind of yes, yes, and you're preaching to the choir for the two of us. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time pushing back for, let's say, the someone who doesn't
Sure.
believe like we do. Play the devil's advocate a little
Yeah.
bit, okay? What I was thinking was, how would you respond to someone who would watch you speak in an interview format like this and say, Dan, you are a chiropractor. You deal with people's backs,
Mhm.
and that's your job. You need to, if someone has an issue with their shoulders, their backs, and you bring them back into alignment. What are you doing going into all these other avenues that you don't have sufficient schooling for? Why can't you just stick to your lane?
Stay in your lane. Yeah. So first of all, it's a common misconception that chiropractors work with the backs and the shoulders and the joints of the body. So our focus is on the spine, but the reason we focus on the spine is because that has broad body implications in that we're improving the function, optimizing the function of the central nervous system. So the spine is just the vehicle through which we're doing that. By adjusting the spine, we're optimizing the central nervous system function, which is, as you know, the communication between your brain and your body back up to your brain, which is actually, most people think of it, brain communicating with your body. That's only about 20% of the signals going through your nervous system. About 80% of the signals going through your nervous system are sensory information feedback loop going back up to the brain. So it's input into the brain and output in terms of what's going to happen. So it has broad body implications. Okay. So just to correct that about, well, chiropractors adjusting the spine, bad back, bad shoulder, right? So I want to dispel that myth, in that even going back to the birth of chiropractic, when chiropractic was discovered in 1895, maybe we talked about this in the first podcast. I can't remember, because when it was discovered in 1895 by the man named D.D. Palmer, the first chiropractic adjustment was delivered to a deaf man who had lost his hearing 17 years prior. When it happened to be a janitor in D.D. Palmer's building, and he found out that the man lost his hearing when he was crouched over lifting something. He felt something move in his spine. And then from that day forward, he lost his hearing. He couldn't hear what they called the ticking of a watch or the racket of a wagon on those old cobblestone streets. And so he postulated that if I was to adjust this vertebra in the man's spine, his hearing should be restored. And lo and behold, it was. The second case was a case of heart disease. And heart disease back then, a little tangent here, but did you guys see the film? It was Paul Saladino's documentary on polyunsaturated fats. Anyway, so he goes into heart disease didn't really exist 100 years ago, 100 plus years ago. It just wasn't a really big thing. Like now it's like one of the first, cancer and heart disease are the number one killers, right? Iatrogenic disease is also actually technically number one statistically, which iatrogenic means, iatro means doctor. Genic means beginning of. So caused by doctors. Okay, so just a little food.
Doctors cause the most deaths right now.
Deaths, not just right now. Like this has been in modern medicine.
Okay,
it's a thing. Yeah. So modern medicine mistakes are, if you look at statistically, it's and please anyone fact check me on this one, if you will. But causes of preventable.
I told him to keep his phone on airplane mode because he
so
can't pay attention.
Causes of preventable death.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Causes of preventable death. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a leading one. So anyway, but and then cancer and heart disease are not far behind.
Is that just and let me push back a little bit on that. Like if I'm a medical doctor and I've been to school for 10, 12 years to get my degrry, and I'm a specialist or whatever it is, and I have yahoos like you telling me and no, I said I was going to push back.
Just pushing back.
I'm pushing back a little bit. Okay, I have not only chiropractors who don't stay in their lanes, but I also have internet doctors who think they know after Googling something for 5 minutes what I'm doing wrong that I've learned for 10, 12 years. You know, like what I don't know anything anymore. I cause all the deaths, so why don't we just get rid of doctors altogether?
What would happen? What would happen if we got rid of doctors altogether? Has anyone even ever asked that question? Has there ever been a strike?
Let me respond. Let me get back to the question and formulate it differently. Is there any place for modern medicine and doctors today in 2024?
Exactly what I was going to get to in terms of trauma and ER. wouldn't want to be without them.
No.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Over and above that, it's very questionable. It's very questionable.
So like surgical doctors definitely needed for like surgeries, like heart surgery
Or you're in a car crash and you need to have your body sewn up and put back together.
broken legs, all those kinds of things,
orthopedic
right?
stuff, yeah.
Cancer treatments.
I don't know. I can't. I'm not going to quote any of the stats because I'm not sure about that. It's a losing battle. The more treatment and procedures has cancer rates going downhill?
Well, you could argue that
as technology improves.
You could argue that the food industry is giving cancer, so the doctor and pharmaceutical industry can cure cancer.
And how does how do pharmaceutical industries make money? How do they stay alive?
By having sick people.
Yeah. So if you're alive and healthy, they're not making money on you.
Yeah.
If you're dead, they're not making money on you.
Right.
But if you're alive and dependent on their product the rest of your life, then that's a gold mine.
So, and then the other
So
thing
you're right in saying maybe there's food. That's why I'm not going to speculate. I'm not speculating, but
no, for sure.
It's possible that we could get away with emergency room medicine and emergency surgery medicine.
Yeah.
And have a really thriving society.
It feels to me that the medical industry, at least in Canada, will not do anything for you until you're further along it's not proactive.
It's not. I mean, I think they're maybe trying to be. I'm not a medical doctor, nor do I pretend to be. So just a disclaimer there. What they're mandating, but we've seen sort of a push for, say, early detection.
Yeah.
And so they call wellness early detection. That has nothing to do with wellness.
Yeah.
There's nothing salutogenic about early detection.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So early detecting something that's bad early on, is that even better? They say, oh, this is great because we can treat it early. So what happens if you treat it early? Are the outcomes really that much better? Or are you intervening too early? What if you had waited?
What do you mean? Are you intervening?
Well, what if they hadn't? So a lot of people, for example, in Manitoba, a lot of people are waiting for months and years sometimes to get either a diagnostic procedure done or an actual procedure done.
Yeah.
And how often in that time frame, if they had the diagnostic procedure done today versus 6 months or 8 months from now, all of a sudden they go for the diagnostic procedure. They've been seeing me in the meantime and doing all kinds of other lifestyle habit changes. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can cancel that knee surgery or that wrist surgery or whatever it is, gallbladder removal, because it's 100% now.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the scans come up going, oh yeah, it must have been a mistake because it's a different diagnosis now.
Does this go back to pain is not a bad thing?
Exactly.
Conversation we had before.
Exactly, right? So what do the symptoms mean? They mean stop, take inventory, do something different. If you can buy yourself enough time to to take inventory and do something different, I would contend that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So sometimes people are complaining to me, oh, the system is so broken, I have to wait 6 to 9 months to get this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's not such a bad thing in the end. Because maybe it'll allow you to take inventory, do stuff different in your life. Maybe you still need the procedure. I'm not saying you don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even get the diagnostic. So I have a family member who went into the hospital, which we still don't know what happened to them, whether something burst, whether there's a kidney stone, etc., because nothing showed a CT or MRI. I can't remember what it was. But at the end of it, it had we were there for 6 hours, really had no detection of anything. So we had no idea. Went and did, I think it was coffee enemas, acupuncture, a few things. And now some of those things have, I think there were, what do you call those things that are in the system?
Parasites?
Parasites. That came up, 50 to 70 parasites came up, right? But like you said, that might have not fixed the problem, but it might have, right? So
but what if they had found something at the time? What if there was a kidney stone that was passing and it just it eluded the diagnostic scans and it passed? What if there was some kind of invasive strategy that they would have applied, left the person scarred and with limited function for the rest of their lives, potentially? I'm just saying it's not always so cut and dried as we got to intervene early.
Well, the issue is it measurable and can you actually see them? That's why we don't have any actual mental health cures in Canada, because you can't measure it. You go in. I don't know if I talked about this before, but you go in for a broken arm. What happens? They put it in a cast. They say come back in 4 weeks. They open up the cast, they take a scan, and everything's good in there. You can take the cast off, and you can go on with your life, right? The problem is with mental illness, and this is debatable. But there's no. They say, how do you feel? Here's your drugs. That you can't scan your brain to see this is where this is at. This is where serotonin is. Blah 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 blah, and see us in 6 months. So there's no way to measure it. So there's no way to try to cure it.
So at the end of the day, even if they can measure every single little speck of what's going on, at the end of the day, if I could help anyone to have more faith, confidence, and belief in their body's innate wisdom, then my job is done. I mean, it's not completely done. I can still help you more than that. But if I can just flip the script into, oh my gosh, there's a boogeyman and it's invisible and I can't measure it or see it, but it might kill me and my kids one day, and then motivate me out of fear to make decisions and expose myself or subject myself to some potentially invasive procedures or whatever medical procedure of the day is there, which might end up 10 years from now being pulled from the market because we know now it's dangerous. What if I had enough confidence in my body's own innate wisdom? So I often say, well, this is a quote from the developer of chiropractic: your body, your innate intelligence knows more in 1 second than every doctor in the world knows in a lifetime. Right. If people had that knowing and they didn't make decisions, health decisions, motivated out of fear, but instead out of confidence, wow, how different our culture would be right now.
I'm thinking to myself as you say that, and I appreciate those responses. 100 years ago, there would be home remedies about, take things like cocaine.
Yeah. Heroin, cocaine.
Well, even before
DDT.
that, look at bloodletting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
so who's to say in 100 years all the things you're saying?
They're going to look back and go, wow, look how archaic that was. I mean, we used to spray kids. They used to spray kids for lice with DDT, like chemical warfare. They used to mist them with DDT to make sure they didn't have lice.
I want to ask one of Tim's questions.
So all that to say that, things that are the silver bullet today end up being, tomorrow's, laughing stock and the archaic barbaric stuff. The stuff that I'm doing today with the work I'm doing, because I'm working with innate intelligence, I'm just working with allowing your body's innate intelligence to express itself more with less interference. So the innate intelligence in you, it's God-given. Okay, it's not God, but it's God-given. God gives you your innate intelligence. It stirs your cells into life. So this cup has no innate intelligence in it. This is an inanimate object. Okay, there's nothing you can do to bring life to this cup.
Yeah.
There's nothing you do.
Some say that about Tim.
Well, as my wife says many times, I can be wrong.
Many times? All the time?
No, not all the times.
Are you right sometimes?
60-30.
Okay.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show clips. If you want, click the subscribe button right in the middle here, and then there's an episode in front of me and an episode in front of Tim. Click on them. Keep on watching. Keep on watching and share with your friends. Thanks for watching the clip.
Cheerio.
Cheerio.